Hello again, Year 8, and this time we're going to be looking at what you do after you've got your three-step plan in place. How do you actually write a really good quality PEE paragraph? Okay, in the lesson that we did, our learning intention was to use point, evidence and explain to structure really well-developed paragraphs in our essay. Right, so to remind you of what that means, PEE and then plus stands for or means point, which is a sentence that makes a point in answer to the question. Evidence, which is an example from the text. Usually it would be a quotation when you're writing about literature. So a sentence or a phrase from the writing which shows your point. If your point is the writer uses, I don't know, dramatic verbs, then your evidence has got to be a quotation which shows him using dramatic verbs or her using dramatic verbs. Explain is then you go on to discuss it. This is the hard bit, really. A discussion of how your evidence proves your point, but it's also the most interesting bit. And your explanation plus, you go on to add more detail to your explanation. Okay, so you can imagine it as a 3 or 4 stage process. In terms of how you do it well, skilled work, as usual. To get skilled to a skilled level and to get skilled up, you're going to do the task. You're going to use PEE. In this case, you're going to make a clear point which answers the question. You're going to end that sentence and then use a quotation which proves the point, and then you're going to explain how the quotation proves the point, or what the quotation suggests. How does it support the point? When you're looking to explore excellence, these are the features we're looking for. Well, your point needs to be really good. It really needs to be precise and interesting, maybe using some sort of technical language, like for example, you might say the writer uses imagery or a metaphor or alliteration or something like that. You use precise and relevant evidence, so the evidence is really good to show your point. And then you explain the effect of the quotation in more detail. You go a bit further, you explore it further. And a really good idea for Explanation Plus is to comment on the impact of individual words and phrases. So let's have a look at this. Here's a sample paragraph about Jane Eyre. One way that Charlotte Bronte uses language to create sympathy for Jane Eyre is by using strong descriptions. For example, she says, "The torture of thrusting the swelled, raw and stiff toes into my shoes. This helps the reader imagine the pain and the cold." Now what you've got there is a point, because remember the question is how does she use language to create sympathy? So your point is clearly answering that, isn't it? Look, she uses language to create sympathy by doing this thing, by using strong descriptions. Then you've got an example, which is an example of a strong description, so that's quite good. And then you've got some explanation. This helps the reader imagine the pain and the cold. So there you've got a paragraph, as you've probably worked out, and as you worked out in the lesson, that's a skilled paragraph because it doesn't really go into a lot of detail in the explanation. So let's have a look at a paragraph where the writer has explored excellence. Okay, one way that Charlotte Bronte uses language to create sympathy for Jane Eyre is by using strong, powerful imagery. Notice they've used imagery, and which is maybe a step above just saying description. It's a bit more technical. For example, when describing the effect of that should be effect. Goodness me. Let's go back to here. Excuse me. When describing the effect of cold on the girl's feet, she describes the torture of thrusting the swelled, raw and stiff toes into my shoes in the morning. Okay, so far so good. This is a strong image which shows the reader the pain that the girls feel. The use of the verb thrusting creates a very strong impression, which is then backed up by a list of powerful adjectives. Oh, who wrote this? This is terrible. Such as swelled, to emphasize. Oh no, look at that. See, just goes to show you. Take your time and check your work. Emphasize the pain that the girls must have felt. All of this combines to create a very sympathetic effect. Okay, so you can see here, all of this is explanation plus. You've got a really detailed explanation there. So that's what we're aiming for if you're sort of trying to explore excellence. But I'll do another video which helps you to explore excellence in more detail.